Okay, here is our perspective surrealism room. So we are going to start with black or whiteboard, your choice, a pencil, a ruler, a straight edge, either one, both, doesn't matter. And you need to make sure that you're drawing light. So the first thing you're going to do is find the corner of your paper. And you're going to go to the other corner of your paper. Now you need to make sure that you are actually touching the corners. If you don't, you're going to end up a little bit off with this whole thing. So corner to corner, hold your flat edge or your straight edge or your ruler down with one hand, and then drag, put your pencil point along the edge and drag it lightly across. It needs to be light because you're going to end up erasing a whole bunch of this. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're going to go from corner to corner, and you're going to drag it lightly across. So you're going to use your straight edge or your ruler. You're going to draw a straight line from one corner diagonal to the other, and then repeat with the other side. The lines will intersect at the center. That's going to be your focal point. So you want to make a mark right there, okay? Then what we are going to end up doing is making a box going around it to make our back wall. So you need to decide how big you want that box. I would probably say you want it somewhere around here. You don't want it too big because then you won't have any wall space. So you want it somewhere in the center, fairly good size, not too much. Maybe, I don't know, a couple of inches from the center. So I'm going to use a straight edge. I'm not going to use my ruler anymore so you can see it better. Now I'm going to go, I want my, my back wall to be about this big. So I'm going to make that the end of one corner of my wall. I'm going to take my straight edge, line it up against the straight edge of my paper. If you could see that, they're lined up together. And I am going to make a line that goes from one of the diagonal lines to the other diagonal line. You can see it right here. I'm going to make my line go like that. Then I'm going to take that straight edge. I'm going to line it up against the edge of my paper so that the vertical line is straight up and down. And I'm going to go from my diagonal line, which is here, straight down to the other line I just made. It should hit on that line. So I'm doing this one right here. Now I'm going to do the same thing up here. I'm going to line up the edge of my my flat edge to the edge of my paper. I'm going to find that line I just made. I'm going to go from the spot on that line and go across. So now I have three parts of my back wall drawn in. Now I'm going to do the very last part. I'm going to go from the corner, from the line I just made, straight down to the other line. And I should have a box that is now in the center. I don't know if you can actually see it. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to erase all these lines in the back because they are now all my back wall. I don't want to see those lines. I'm going to leave that dot in. I'm going to go back over the lines that I want to see with a white pencil. Now, if you're doing this on white paper, you're not going to have to take a white pencil because you can just use a black, make your pencil line darker. Line everything up so it's straight. Okay. Now I'm going to put in the corners of my room that I already have drawn out. I have something here, so I can't. I want to do it that way. Okay, I have the start of my room. So there's the whole start of my room, my ceiling, my sidewalls, my floor. Now, excuse my dogs. Now, so this is what I just did. If you're using black paper, you're going to use a white pencil. If you're using white paper, you're going to use a regular pencil or a marker or something that's dark. Traced over all the lines that I'm keeping, erased all the lines I'm getting rid of. Now I'm ready to draw in my windows and my floor. So this is my floor, right? Well, I want to make a checkerboard floor. So how am I going to do that? This is still the center. This is still my focal point. As long as you know where your focal point is, you don't have to make that dot. As long as you can see it with your pencil mark. Now, any line that goes back into space has to go directly back to that vanishing point or focal point, whichever you call it. So I'm going to make a checkerboard. I want them to be even, so I'm going to measure out how big my paper is. It's 10 inches. I'm going to make 5. I'm going to make them every 2 inches. So I'm just going to mark it off. 2. Every single spot, every single line I'm going to make has to go back to my focal point. But I don't want those lines going through my back wall. I only want them coming up to the bottom of the wall or the back of the floor. Now, if you're doing it in pencil, which you could, then you would just go back in later and erase what comes out on the wall. Because those lines are actually invisible once you've drawn them, once you have them in place. There's my floorboards, but I want to have them checkerboarded. So I need to make horizontal lines that have to be parallel to the top and the bottom. Easiest way to do that is to line up the straight edge of my my ruler or my straight edge along the paper. You can actually see it that way if I do it that way. So I now have my checkerboard floor, my ceiling, my sidewalls. I'm going to put in a window on each side, and I'm going to open up my ceiling. So my window. Where do I want my window to be? I'm going to start with my pencil. That way I can erase things. I want my window to be, I want it to come in a little bit. So I'm going to make it, I'm going to start it here. I'm going to use a pencil. Remember, everything has to go back to my vanishing point. I'm not going to draw very hard because I want to be able to erase it. I'm going to do the same thing up at the top. I want my window to be higher. Now I need to connect these, the top and the bottom of my window, with the two sides of the window. And remember, anything that goes up and down needs to be parallel with the sides of my paper. So now I'm going to connect. Now you may have to go in after and erase some of those lines that kind of don't connect. Once I've put that in, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side.